No question about that. Last year, 3 games as a starter, 20 a game. He's got 16 now. He's on pace. Oh, look at that! Go! He read it, stole it, dunked it, and he's putting on a show.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Well, I know this. I can't do a show like Reed Shepherd did last night. Wish I could. Did you see his numbers? Oh, my goodness. I know it's preseason, but he just loves playing. 29 points, 2-9, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 from downtown, 4 steals. And this is the incredible part, 3 blocks. He's on his way to being one of the better, didn't say best, one of the better shot blockers for a guard in the NBA over the last 15 years. And I stand by that. I mean, it was goofy how he blocked shots here at Kentucky. I didn't see that. Didn't see it at all. I don't know if anybody saw that. And he's so calm and cool and collective. Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler. Honored and pleased to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us, whether it's live now or somewhere across the world on podcast tomorrow or tonight, or listening live in Indianapolis or Louisville or Danville or Paducah, or gotten some notes from people from Rockcastle County. So I know you're listening online as this thing continues to grow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're changing things up. The monologue will be short for a really good reason. Ryan Howard, superstar for Kentucky, and what a star in the WNBA. She's going to join us for a few minutes at 12:15. And Cammie, thank you for your help on that. And then I'm now calling him this. And Jimmy, I have to remember to call him this. He's no longer Cisco Bryan. He's now Ty's dad. Because forever, and Cisco would just laugh at it and agree. Cisco Bryan was a wonderful, wonderful player for Kentucky, and also just a wonderful dude. So he'll be joining us at 12:30. We'll have a little Ty sound in there too. And one of my dear friends, Dick Hoops Weiss, in a gazillion Hall of Fames, will join us at 1 o'clock, and we have a lot of sound that I think is pretty good that we're going to play. I want to get into Reed like right away. And so, Jimmy, this is really cool. One of the people interviewing him was John Wall. And John Wall looks so comfortable. John Wall's very comfortable in his own skin, even with everything he's been through. He's so calm and cool and whatever. I think John Wall's going to be great on TV because he's a smart dude and he's comfortable in his own skin. 2 properties that are very, very important. So you will hear Wall's voice in here, and it's really good. Here is Reed Shepherd.
Tonight, the game was just so much fun. You know, we had a lot of guys sitting out. So there was 8 of us out there. So, you know, before the game, we were all just like, go out, have as much fun as we can, just play free, play loose. So we were just running all over the place, switching 1 through 5. So just we had like 30-something deflections as a team. So everyone was in the passing lanes, getting their hands on the ball. So it was just a lot of fun.
Hey, Reed, I know this is going to be your second year. I know it's going to be a big year for you to get an opportunity to play. What were the things you thought you had to work on this summer to prepare yourself to get into this role, to be the backup point guard, or even might be the starting point guard on some nights?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was defense. I went 3 weeks in the summer where I didn't touch a basketball for like the first 30 minutes of my workout, and that wasn't fun at all. But I feel like it helped a lot. So that, and then just the weight room, getting stronger, playing against grown men. So gaining a little bit of weight, and then just staying consistent, getting in the gym, getting shots up, working on everything.
Working on everything. His balance is obviously much better. Not that it was bad, and it's better because of his what? His strength. And we've talked before about his workouts in the summertime, starting with defense, and it wasn't fun. But this kid will do whatever it takes to become a star. It's credible. It's just incredible. Plus, think about it. Houston had over 30 deflections in a preseason game. That's crazy. So here's the question Reed's going to get asked. First of all, he's always going to say the right thing. Duh. And the second thing is, I like what he said. He's now playing with KD. And Kevin Durant is known for being a freak working out. He loves it. Look, Kevin Durant, at the age of 45, probably working on basketball all the time because of the love of the game. And I'm not going to be surprised if he plays longer than LeBron. I'm really not going to be surprised. We will see. So KD is Shepherd's teammate, and what he points out about KD is really good And I think it's bullseye. And he loves the fact that KD, Kevin Durant, one of the greats of all time, is his teammate.
You know, for me, I'm still young, so I grew up watching him, of course, and you know, now being on the same team with him is really, really cool. So you know, but he's really good at just talking and like building you up, saying good shot, good pass, all this stuff. So it's the little things that most people don't see, the high fives, the smack to the back, whatever it is, you know, that stuff goes a long way, especially coming from a guy like him. So you know, being on the same team is really cool.
That is really cool. And Shep says, look, I want to play loose. I want to play free. I want to have fun. And I don't want to play with any hesitation. You are watching a star developing right in front of our eyes. Am I biased? Hell yeah. Do I believe every word I'm saying? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just off the charts. Let's go back to Flacco for a second. In about 8 minutes, hopefully, Ryan Howard will be joining us. 4 years ago, Jimmy, you're an NFL guy. Was it 5 where people were saying in the great city of Baltimore that Flacco is washed up, he's getting old? Anybody remember George Blanda? I bet you know the name, Jimmy, being a football guy. You do know the name.
Yes.
Played football at the University of Kentucky. Was a star in the AFL. A star. And then he lasted into his, wasn't it late 40s? Now, in the early 40s, he came off the bench. He had a year where he won a lot of games as a quarterback. It was crazy. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in sports. Yeah, he kept on kicking and won all kinds of games as a kicker. He was one of the greats of all time in his 40s. I'm not saying Flacco's like Blanda, because it's a little different. Flacco is now starting. But let's put it this way. Blanda, I believe, was in the NFL with the Bears. I didn't look this up, Jimmy. This is off my memory. And they dumped him at a certain point because they thought he was no good. And I was a freak with the AFL starting in 1960. And he quickly became a starting quarterback. Without the AFL, there is no George Blanda. There's no George Blanda. And he was like a star overnight. A star overnight. Matter of fact, the first time I interviewed him, oddly enough, was in Boise, Idaho. He was there for a clinic. What are the odds of that? And then I interviewed him here in Lexington, Kentucky. And he's around the pool. And I knew he was there, just walked up to him, couldn't be any more kinder or gracious. He had a nice soft drink. He's laying around the pool. His hands were gnarly from playing football, right? And he had a Super Bowl ring on. It was really cool. And I said, you know, you should coach. I can't believe you're not coaching. And he said, nobody would ask me. I never forgot it. And I said, if you were asked, would you coach? He said, yes. And I'm thinking, the stupidity of the NFL. You have George Blanda, one of the smartest, toughest guys in the history of the NFL, who, by the way, when you talk to him, you could tell how smart he was and how a guy could communicate, and no one asked him to coach. No one asked him to coach. And he really wanted to do it. That was pretty obvious. You know, it's the same thing I said the other day, and I've said many times, actually, through the years of doing this show, that John Wall, his contract is up. He wasn't the player, obviously, he once was. His knees took away a lot of his speed, but he was still faster than most guys in the NBA, a shadow of himself, and he would have played for basically the minimum. And he said it, and he's a good guy. And John Wall would be perfect on a young team that had some young guards that he could counsel. Or how about this? You're close to a championship, and Wall doesn't start, and he just plugs in every now and then when you need somebody. Sometimes the stupidity of these leagues, I don't get it. I don't get it. And by the way, I didn't agree with it, but I understood why teams wouldn't take DeMarcus Cousins back because of his temper. I understood that. I didn't like it. I didn't agree with it because DeMarcus Cousins could still help people. This is a number of years ago. And I hate the term blacklisted, but he's blacklisted. And, you know, he's played, in Puerto Rico and other places and stuff like that. It doesn't make any sense. You could write a contract, so, okay, hey, guess what, Cousins? If you lose your lid, you're gone. You could write something in the contract. He would probably be okay with it because of what? Because he wanted to play again. Remember he got in trouble in Puerto Rico where he was kind of going in the stands and that kind of stuff because a fan threw something on him. And I would bet my paycheck and your paycheck, Jimmy, that he didn't start it, that somebody was yelling at him in the stands, and he said enough of that stuff. Which, by the way, you got to turn the other cheek. But at a certain point, enough is enough, and I think security in all these places should get rid of fans that get that personal. Start throwing people out. I've said that for decades and decades and decades and decades. Just because you're paying money, that doesn't give you the right to abuse somebody. Boo, yes. Cheer, yes. But at a certain point, no. At a certain point, no. By the way, Jimmy, not that I'm a defensive coordinator, and I bet you had the same thought. I'm watching the Steeler game, and who thought that the Bengals were going to beat the Steelers? Not me. Not me. There's no way. And Jalen Ramsey, I bet, Jimmy, you agree with this, was one of the top 5-6 cornerbacks in the NFL at one point. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. For quite a long time.
Yes. Sorry for stepping on you, Jimmy. Quite a long time. He's a shadow of his former self. Shadow. He was unbelievably quick. He lost it 2-3 years ago, as far as I'm concerned, and he's staying on in reputation. And, oh, my gosh, Jamar Chase must have been salivating when he saw him on 1-1. Okay, you're telling me Ryan is ready to go?
Yes.
Let's do it. I'm really excited about this because this young lady has done unbelievable things everywhere she's gone. Again, thanks to Cammie at UK for helping us get together with Ryan Howard. Ryan, I'm Alan Cutler. Thank you so much for joining us. Your career just I don't know if you were better at Kentucky than WNBA because you're a superstar in both. Thanks for joining us for a couple of seconds. And I just want to talk to you about the joy of basketball and some of the things you've done. You've had another great – did I read that right? You had 9 threes in a game this year against Chicago?
I actually did it twice. I did it against Chicago and I did it against LA.
Oh, well, you know what? Shame on AI not coming up with that, me. So pardon me. Congratulations.
Thank you so
unbelievable. So I don't know how often you're probably too busy if you ever get back to Lexington. Just whatever your thoughts and memories at Memorial Coliseum and some of the great games and wearing, as they say, Kentucky across your chest and gave blood for UK. Just your thought about playing here.
It was just a great experience. No matter what the outcome of our games were, we always had the fans backing us. And so just to be somewhere where you constantly feel like home, I know that if I were to go back today, it would still feel the same way. Tons of people just open arms and welcoming and, just having that big end behind you. I think that's, experience that you can never exchange for anything else.
Oh, you should come back for a game. You would get a standing ovation and the joy, and then seeing some people in the stands that you maybe maybe you don't know, but you recognize faces because they were all. You should do that. I'm sorry. You should come back and feel the love. Quick story. Keith Bogans was a star here for a long time, and he wouldn't come back here forever, and it was nothing personal. He just didn't feel like it. And the first time he came back, Keith, I don't know if you knew Keith, really tough guy and all that kind of stuff, and he got really emotional about coming back. And I said, dude, you should come back, people would love to see it. He couldn't believe the joy and love he got. He basically said, well, we did a national championship. I'm sorry, you were a stud for 4 years and you played your blank off. He always played hard and was a really good teammate and stuff. And he wouldn't have lasted in the NBA all those years if he wasn't a good guy and really good player. So you should do that. You really should do that. And besides, you know what? It'd be great having you talk to this year's team.
Yeah.
From your experiences here and what you're doing at WNBA. Cammie, I know, is listening, and I bet you get text from Cammie saying, pick a game. When would you like to come back?
Yeah. I probably will come back. And also, I guess being able to have the experience of the new gym, still a little hurt that I never got to play in it, but, coming back, seeing how much that women's basketball has changed and, being able to now have our own student section and, actually have people really full on engaged in the games. I think, I probably will have to come back and see that.
I got to tell you, I know you've heard this a million times already, but they did an unbelievable job with Memorial Coliseum. It is gorgeous. My only complaint is part of the sides don't have backs on the chairs. They all should have backs on the chairs. Somebody told me inside UK. Well, they did it to keep the old stuff and nobody cares about that. That's the only mistake. But the place is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. The big screen and everything, and the aroma and the atmosphere. It's really, you're going to be shocked. Basically, it's Memorial Coliseum, duh. But you're going to walk in, you go, they put a new arena in here. Really, it is that sweet what UK did.
Yeah.
Favorite memory playing at Kentucky in your 4 seasons, 2-time SEC Player of the Year, 3-time All-American. Do you have a favorite memory or something that pops in your head?
I mean, it's going to have to be the SEC championship. Senior year. Like, we went through so many ups and downs that year, and for us to be able to, essentially put it all aside and just focus on this and focus on what, we knew that we were capable of and, come out with that win, it was really like a true testament of everything that we went through. And so being able to battle through all the adversity that we had, I will remember that forever. Not just because it's a championship, but because of, what we did to get there.
You guys struggled. You got knocked down. You picked yourself up and did something I wasn't smart enough to predict, but it was amazing what you all did. Pick first in a WNBA draft, been an all-star multiple times. When did you know you were going to be this special as a basketball player?
I mean, honestly, I knew that I would be good in the WNBA. I just didn't think that it would happen as fast. Because of all the people around me, they would say you're now going up against grown women, it's going to be harder, it's going to be tougher. But I think because I came in guns blazing, essentially, that, I was the one who shocked them instead of them shocking me. And so being able to, now have that confidence and, having that respect of the rest of the league, I think it's really helped propel me into where I'm going. But, I always knew that I would get here. I just, I never really put much thought into where I would end up, what pick or, how good I would be and, stuff like that. But I always knew I would get to the WNBA.
Ryan Howard, kind enough to join us for a couple more minutes. I don't know if the word revolution is the right word, but the increase in the love for women's basketball is exploding. I also believe the talent has gotten so much better. I think it's exploding too. I think that, teams that maybe when the WNBA started might have had 2 good players. Now there's many good players on every team. It's so much deeper. The skill is so much better. It's like if you look at tape from 15 years ago, the Final Four, and you look at whatever happens this year or next or last year, whatever, it's like almost a totally different game.
Yeah.
Do you feel, how do you feel about being part of if you have a better word from revolution, let me know. But the increase, the influx, the joy of the change of women's basketball to a skill level that we've never seen before, and I don't think it's peaked, not at all.
It's, everybody you always want to leave the game better than you found it, and to be able to be in this era of really good basketball, right in the middle of it, you have your vets who paved the way, and then you have around my class and a little older, and then you have the rookies who are coming in and basically just shocking the league and making this change and bringing all this attention and helping continue to pave the way so that we can continue to get what we're asking for. We can continue to put out we put out the product. We just need the platform. And so when you bring the fans and you're asking for, just watch us, we're good, and you have good, really, really good players, it would be selfish of your part to not watch, because there's nothing you can deny about how we're playing and how good we are and what we're putting out, and we've earned a lot of respect because we do what we think is best for us as a league as a whole. We're always trying to stand up for what we believe in, and we're going to continue to do that, and you can't deny it. So if you're not watching what we're doing, then it's really ignorance on your part, because we work just as hard as anybody else. And, all we're asking for is, for it to be a little more equal.
Well, when you say a little more equal, since you're generating money, the first part of what I'm going to say you probably won't like, and I'm good with it. Initially, when the WNBA started, the salaries were terrible. And I said, well, you're not generating money. But as a business, I don't care male or female, by the way, right? I don't give a rat's. I don't care. Money is money. Now, the TV watching has exploded. Now, people showing up to watch games has exploded. I saw a thing, and I looked for another story. It's a while back that Minnesota, their average ticket was like $100. I'm going, holy blank, blank, blank. I mean, your league is generating so much money. You guys went from not making much money, which honestly I could understand. Now you all are tremendously underpaid. And I saw what around the All-Star game, you were wearing T-shirts and stuff like that, and ruffles and feathers. I'm going, good for you. You're underpaid like crazy. If somebody wants to go play basketball in Russia because they want to play basketball in Russia, that's one thing. But all of your peers, I don't know if you did this. I don't think you did, but going to Russia because you could make more money, and some of the problems there because you couldn't make a decent living here in America versus what your skills are. You shouldn't have to go to Russia. If you want to go to Russia, God bless, more power to you. But you shouldn't have to go to feed your family and be away from your family. And you all deserve tons more money, which I'm sure the second part you'll agree with.
Yes, I definitely agree with it. I didn't go to Russia. I did go to Italy. But like you said, like we shouldn't have to go across the waters just to make more money than to do the same thing and, be away from our families and be away from the people that love us like 8 months out of the year. Like the W is only during the summer. So then when you turn around and we have to play this fully long season just to make more money, like it's not fair to us because you're asking so much of us. Like ever since I've been in the league, we've played more games each year and, we're still not getting the respect that we've earned. Like we're playing these games for you, but we're still underpaid.
You are underpaid. By the way, I'm not asking for numbers. It's not that personal.
Yeah.
You don't want to tell me, and I promise I'm not asking. I am curious of this. I know in Russia, the pay when I first saw it was astronomically higher than America, which I thought was insulting. I could use another word, but you'd have to bleep it out. It was ridiculous. Was there more money also in Italy than America?
Yes.
Wow.
Like anywhere, I could have went anywhere overseas and it would have been tremendously more than what I was making.
I bet you love the Italian food, yes?
Yeah.
Did you like living in Italy's a beautiful country? Did you like living there, but not you didn't want to be there, but since you were there, you made the best of it and probably enjoyed it. You got a nice smile on your face.
Yeah, it was really peaceful and, it was nice to be over there and, all of my teammates, they also spoke English, so it wasn't a huge language barrier. But being able to be over there and just have some nice and quiet and, get used to a different environment and see how they live over there, it was fun. So I am grateful for the experience that I was able to have over there.
But the next time you'd like to go as a visitor for 2 weeks and not knowing you have to play. Describe yourself as a basketball player. What's the best thing about Ryan Howard as a basketball player, if you would say it would be?
Humble and hardworking.
And you play defense ferociously, and I think you don't get enough credit for that on top of all your great shooting. Thank you for your time. You have represented Kentucky with great class. You're doing unbelievable things in the WNBA, 2-time SEC Player of the Year, 3-time All-American. Maybe next year sometime we could chat again. I'm rooting for you, and you all need to get paid what you now have earned, and I will keep on saying this because the numbers have changed. And so the numbers have changed. They need to change. And here's the other thing is I really like how some of the older veterans are really standing up. And I think they're doing it with strength, which is great, but you're also being respectful. And I really like how you're doing it and keep the push. I'm behind you. Bless you. Have a great off season. If you go to Italy, just go on vacation. I hope you get a big race. Ryan, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a great day.
You as well.
Thanks. Jimmy, this is a superstar basketball player who's just a lovely person. You think that's a fair way of describing it?
Yeah, I think the WNBA is in very good hands with the younger. She's still one of the younger players in the league. She hasn't been in the league that long. I think they've got a lot of young talent.
It's amazing to me the depth of women's basketball and how much it's changed. It really is. And I think it's only going to get better and better and better and better and better and better. It's fun. I'm enjoying watching them. I mean, I went for a long time just basically watching the Final Four, not watching games during the regular season. And Caitlin Card helped. And then I watched other games because when I'm going, wait a second. This is really good. The talent is really good. Their moves are really good. They got great shooters. They pass the ball. They share the ball. They're intent. They're great basketball players. And they deserve, 20 years ago versus today, the amount of talent. Now, look, the NBA has gotten better 20 years ago from today, but not nearly that much, because I'm telling you, as a kid, when I would watch Wilt Chamberlain and Bob Cousy and Oscar Robinson and Bob Pettit and Bill Russell, the talent was better in the 60s than most young people understand, because they're just not into it. And so the talent, those guys in the 60s could play today. And Jimmy, I wonder how many great women's basketball players in the 60s could actually be stars today in the WNBA. And I'm going to tell you, I don't believe there'd be very many. I think it'd be very few. They're in much better shape. I'm not saying they weren't in shape, but nutrition and training and weightlifting and all that has changed. And I think one of the main things is you see little girls bouncing a basketball when they were 5. In the 1960s, how many little girls were bouncing a basketball when they were 5? There were like none. So now you go through like a couple generations of doing that, and all of a sudden you got a little girl bouncing a basketball when she's 5, and she's just as much of a freak as a guy. And guess what? You might be a great basketball player when you're 15 years old. So the love of the sport is just really good. Coming up, Cisco Bryan, who's in the hopper. I can't wait to throw this at him. And we'll have a comment from Ty, and we'll get into Cisco. I wonder if he heard me where I said he's now Ty's son. What do you think?
Ty's dad.
Oh, Ty's dad. I did say son, didn't I?
Yeah.
Boy, that's a faux pas. I'm on my second cup of coffee. Maybe I should have had 4 today. Wow. That's kind of amazing, even for me. The XC60. Wow. That's a wow. It's a Volvo. It's a hybrid. My wife has it. We've had it not quite a month, but just about. As of yesterday, well, so far today that I know, she hasn't used a drop of gas with the hybrid. But here's the thing with the Volvo. It is so smooth, smoothest car that we've ever had, period. And the way you sit in it and feel and that kind of stuff. I love the car. My wife loves the car. I tease about this, but I'm not really teasing. I know my wife still loves me after 43 years. But, Jimmy, I really believe she loves the car more. The truth is, I don't blame her. So we got the Volvo from Quantrell Auto, the Quantrell Auto Group. They're spectacular deal with. That's why I keep on saying, I don't know if anybody wants to drive in from Paducah, but if you drove in from Cincinnati or Louisville or Danville or Rockcastle County, does it make sense to me? It really does, because of how these people who own and run the dealership, how they treat you as a person. It is special, and the XC60 is unbelievable. And if you're into a Subaru, hey, they got the Outback, 36 months. The Outback, 0% interest for 36 months, 000. And if you want to do it for 72 months, 1.9%. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, the next Caddy, the next Volvo, and they promise to get you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks. Cisco Bryan, my old friend, coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0% That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack and rounding the turn. And it's Clark's Pump and Shop for the win!
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Rolade sticks. Buy one, get one free. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be frustrating when you're out here, the work you're putting in is not coming to fruition quite yet, but I feel like everybody still believes, and everybody's coming to work every single day, and we know the team we can be. We're the only ones in here in the locker room every day, and we see what we can do, and every single one of these dudes believes that we can win every game we play. We just got to put it all together, and we're starting to put those pieces all together.
Carter Bowley being positive as he should be, and I love his potential, and I hope he doesn't hang up on me what I'm about to say. If you're watching on YouTube, Jimmy, how do you watch on YouTube?
ESPN Sports Radio 1300.
Jimmy, I want to see if you agree with me, because you're always on Ty's side, on Cisco's side, and Cisco might never talk to me again after what I'm about to say. Jimmy, have you ever watched a game in Rocky Top?
In Rocky Top? Yeah.
You watch a football game there?
On TV, yeah.
Okay. The end zone looks like Cisco Bryant's shirt. He's got a I think you're a client. Huh?
It's pink.
Okay. Is that my eyes or is that my iPhone?
No, it's pink. It's a light pink.
It's a light pink. Jimmy, your eyes are better than mine. Is that a light pink, not an orange?
Yeah, it's light pink. Looks like it matches his pink UK hat as well.
Thank you. Thank you for it.
Yeah,
I got that. Now, okay, I messed up. That looks like a red UK hat.
No, it's pink.
Okay, I believe it. Now, I am real close to the camera, as you can see, and I'm not wearing my glasses, but I shouldn't. Wow, had this whole routine. You just blew because I'm wrong. I humbly apologize, Cisco Bryant, former tough Studley UK player. So this is what I've decided. Ty is no longer your son, which he is. You're now being introduced as you're Ty's father. Ty's taken over the world with you, and I know you love that.
Right, and I heard you say that earlier, and I think the first time it happened, probably about he was actually a senior at Frederick Douglass. Somebody said that, and I said all the time, I'm probably the only man on this earth that wants Ty to be better than him. And I take that as a compliment because he has definitely achieved that.
He definitely has. And his attitude is great. So I want to do this. I don't know if you heard it. Nothing in this will surprise you. It's Ty talking about staying positive, also about the week of practice. Let's hear it. And then Cisco, I want you to please respond. Here's his great son, Ty Bryant.
Because the practice we've been on, I feel like this week of preparation has been probably one of the best weeks that we've had all year since really camp, honestly. I mean, Coach Wright said the best, he feels like there's so much energy and passion when we step onto this field this week, and I just feel like that's really just going to help us overall in the game on Saturday.
You think that was because maybe you all had a bye week and maybe you got to work on some things you were struggling with in the bye week?
Probably, but I think
we just all kind of just had a meeting, like a unit meeting, and we kind of just talked about bringing the joy back into the game. You know, there's so much we got class, people have life things going on, but sometimes pressure can build on someone's shoulders. But Coach Wright just told us just go out there and just have fun. And I feel like the fun piece is lacking. And obviously, it might be lacking because we're losing. You know what I'm saying? No one wants to lose, but at the end of the day, just come out here and just play the game that we all love and we all enjoy. And I feel like this week we've done a better job of doing that. And even when we're making plays, offense and defense and special teams, we're all rallying behind each other. Somebody caught a pick today and took it to the crib, and all of us were right behind them. So just little things like that, I feel like it will help us.
So they had a really good week of practice, and I like White's attitude. And I know as a coach, you're smiling like, you know what? A lot of negativity going on. I'm adding to it. It is what it is. It's just how I feel. Best thing these kids can do is beat Tennessee and shut up people. It's a pretty simple deal, but it's not easy, not just as an 18-year-old. It's not easy as a 50-year-old. Or if you're a 70-year-old, if you're hearing negativity, staying positive. It's not my job to stay positive if I don't want to. And everybody can feel the way they want to feel. And you have to be proud of what Ty said. The only little thing I didn't like, that this is the best week of practice since camp. And so why didn't they have that in the first week, in the second week, in the third week, in the fourth week, in the fifth week? So it bothered me a little bit. Not from Ty, but, maybe the confidence wasn't there. So Brad White, I think, is a better coach than people give him credit for. Ty is a great leader and a great football coach. Your response to what Ty said, what I said, Cisco, bring it on, brother.
All right, thank you. And again, thanks for having me on. When I hear Ty talk, like when he came over last night, just to come over and see, me and Terry, the wife, and he's just talking about the enthusiasm. And like you said, it's a lot of negativities going on campus right now. If they go places, people are saying something. So for these young people to continue flying around, doing what they're supposed to do, and they seem to be behind their head coach as well as the defensive coordinator. And that's what he means by it's been a great practice since then, because sometimes people get down because they're human. And nobody's perfect. Nobody does this right all the time or that right, because it's only one person walked on water, I remember, and that was Jesus. So with that said, I loved what he said. I understand how he meant it and the way he meant it. And going back on Ty's son, I'm introduced that all the time, Cutler, and that's a great thing for me. That's a great thing for me.
Yeah, it gets you and Terry smiling. No question about it. You said something here that kind of disturbs me a little bit. Now, it's one thing if somebody's saying something negative, but it's something else when somebody comes in your face. Are these kids getting crap thrown in their face when they're out in public?
Well, I know a couple of incidents I've heard, and a lot of times the negative is someone saying something that is the obvious. And that's negative if it's the obvious. So they're not getting as much because I'm not around them as much. Let me say that up front. But with that said, and Ty doesn't tell me anything. Let me say that up front. It's just as I have been out and I've seen a person say something to one of our players, and our players respond the best way they do. And they're very intelligent. They're very understanding the frustration with people. And some people live through UK football more than they live through their own life. So with that said, sometimes that happens. It does.
I don't know how much it's happened. I'm not surprised it's happened, but this is where I'm really coming from. It's a credit to these kids. I don't think it's been once or twice. I'm going to assume it hasn't been thousands of times. That's kind of obtuse, but the kids go to an establishment where a bunch of kids do. Can I see somebody else saying something? Somebody's had a couple beers or something like that.
Yeah.
We haven't heard of any incidences, and I hope there is none, but let me throw a compliment to these kids, because stop with this thing. They're 17, 18, 19 years old. If you threw some of the things that these kids have probably heard and you're 29 or 39, it could cause a fight. And so, yes. No, I'm serious, a heart attack.
Yes.
Let me compliment these kids. Let me compliment the coaching staff, because I can't believe Stoops and the staff haven't counseled these kids about staying positive and turning the other cheek and stuff like that. And you can do that, but that doesn't mean you're going to do it in the heat of the moment when somebody takes you off. But I mean this from a positive point. The fact that there hasn't been a fight or somebody getting somebody's face really nastily, and especially if you're a big, your son is not 6'5" on the line, but your son could probably bench press about any human being that he sees in public, and not that Ty would, but you know what I'm saying. And I don't think along those lines. It's a credit we haven't had a problem, not just here, but in other places, directly face to face. And the example I use, and I don't know what these kids have had, there was a kid who kicked for Boise State, and I keep on using this example every now and then, but he was from Boise and really popular and a good kid and did stuff in the community and had a great career, but he missed a field goal. I don't remember. I need to look it up. If it cost him a bowl game or it cost him a championship or they went to a lesser bowl, whatever it was a field goal that the kid would make all the time. And this kid got death threats. And I'm going, whoa. When people say, well, it can't happen here, it can happen anywhere. And so when fans go over the line, that's ridiculous. And if somebody's out and you think the team stinks, if that's what you think, don't go up to a player and say it to their face.
No. Well, you said it 5 times. Regardless if he's 6'6", 6'7", or 5'9", they're kids. They're kids. And they may be of age. There's a difference. And I say this all the time, being a coach and being in the school system. When I'm 17 and the next day I turn 18, I'm grown, the world says. I'm just of age. That's all I am. I'm of age. And I haven't really truly lived life. I've lived life. I've lived in different states, and so have you, and so has Jimmy. But with that said, is with them, they're kids and they're flying around. They're gonna come out against Texas and they're gonna play hard. And that's just what's in them. That's their DNA. They're gonna play hard and they're gonna support their University of Kentucky.
I agree with that. But I guess my point also was, even though they're kids, a 29-year-old, a 39-year-old, a 49-year-old might not keep their cool if somebody got in their face or made a comment in public. I'm applauding these kids for handling that.
Yeah,
and you can say it's not fair and stuff like that. Well, guess what? You got to win games. Part of life is if you're 7-0, you're getting all this love. If you're 0-7, you're getting all this blank, 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 blank. It's part of what you sign up for. There's a certain point I think you can go, and there's a certain point that going too far. And maybe some people think I'm going too far. That's anybody's right or privilege to think that. I don't think I do, but I just say how I feel. And I'm rooting for these kids like crazy to beat Texas. And if they beat Texas on Monday, Stoops could say, I told you we're getting better. And I would be just fine with that.
Well, I think the term of getting better is not, to me, when I look at the University of Kentucky, the term to me is for us to make plays when we need to make them and us not to make mistakes. Because we've done this. They've snapped the ball, they've ran the football, they've caught the ball, they've tackled, and now you just got to take that from practice onto the game on Saturday at 7:00 at Kroger Field. So that's me getting better. Getting better means you just play up to your potential all the way around.
So if they would lose 21-17,
am I kissing my sister?
And you thought they played well as a coach and as a father and as an alum, how would you feel?
Well, I think you feel like sometimes if Texas is that much better than Kentucky all the way around in every aspect and from top to bottom, you feel good. But I think Kentucky has a chance to win. I really do. Not saying it because everything you just said about me, but I feel like that you've got to stop Texas from number 5, and I forget the kid's name. He just seems like he does everything for him. He catches the ball in the backfield. He runs the I think he's a running back, and he's very quick, very athletic. And he makes plays for them. I just believe if we can stop him for generating that energy for Texas, we have a good chance.
I'm not concerned about Texas offense. I'm worried about their defense because although I think Cutler is getting better and better, and he still has a lot of growth to go, but what the heck do you expect from a kid who's had this number of snaps? I actually think he's doing really good. And if he was behind, no disrespect, Alabama's offensive line, he would look even better because there'd be less pressure on him. Neither here nor there. I like Cutler. But I look at it this way. I'm more concerned about Texas's defense than I am Texas's offense. Is that crazy?
No, it's not. But enthusiasm and is the key to defense. If your offense scores points, you get a little bit more energy for defense. That's a fact. But if you're on the field over and over and over, then it slows your defense down because defense is more of an emotional side of the football. And when I look at Texas defense, it's very good, quite good. But also what hurt them in the beginning, they wasn't getting points offensively. Their offense wasn't playing very well. Then their offense picked up and their defense picked up. Because from coaching and playing this game, defense is an emotional side of the ball.
This is sensitive to you because of who you were.
I'm still here, man.
Well, you're not. Wow, I'm not putting you 6 feet under, dude. I interrupt you. You just chopped me off. I deserve. Jimmy's laughing. Shut up, Jimmy. Jimmy, you laughing at me?
Yeah, it was a good one.
You know what I like to say? You're right and Jimmy's right. Wow. Talk about getting busted on your own show. I got no filtered back to me, and I deserved it. The tackling has been terrible for Kentucky. And it's been that way. And I made a big deal of this. When they lost to Ole Miss, their coach is pretty smart, and he does it more than most coaches, and I will never understand it. If something works, you keep on running the damn play until they stop it. And then if they stopped it, they probably adjusted to stop it, which means there's probably another hole somewhere else. If you can adjust on the fly, there might be something else that's open. And the Ole Miss receivers, they do is this little hook. They'd catch the ball, and they'd spin to the outside so that no linebacker can help. And their speed was much better than Kentucky's speed for the corners. And they got all these yaks. The tackling has been terrible. And I did not see this coming at all, but it's been terrible. And they talk about it, and you can't tackle hard in practice. I don't care if you're Kentucky or out. You just can't.
Yeah.
This is not the good old days. But now you're deep into the season. What the hell do you do as a coach to help the tackling, to help these kids learn how to tackle better? I don't have the answer. But I do know this. I think their record would have been better. I didn't say great, and I want you to see if you agree with this or not. The record would have been better if they were, I'm not talking about the best tackling team in the conference. I'm not talking about the second best. If they were middle of the road to slightly above that in tackling in this conference. All realistic goals as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm wrong. This team would be much better.
I agree. I do. I think that you have to make tackles, and you have to step on their toes, and you have to make tackles. You can't blow people up anymore, so don't try that. This ain't flag football. You can't reach. You can't reach. You got to get close enough and go for the hip, and that's how you tackle. You have to go for the hip, and you don't stay upstairs because guys benching 380 will stiff arm you. So, like you said, and also we got to get as well as more team tackling, where everybody gets to the football, and I hope that that was one of the part that Ty talked about, that they had a better practice. I hope that's what he meant as well. And you hit it right on the nose. We have to tackle better. We got to get off the field on third down. And I've said that in the stands. We got to get off the field on third down, regardless whatever happens on the other side of the ball.
Can you fix that this late in the season?
You can turn anything around. You can go negative to positive, positive to negative. I did the best positive to negative, and there's no offense to them, but it's a fact. Florida State, they were 3-0, and now they're 3-3 or 3-4 now, and it could flip right back for them finishing out the season as good as everybody thought they were going to be. And the same thing with Alabama. When Alabama lost the first game of the season, I mean, how many people thought that was over? Then they've won great consecutive ranked games this week. And then they play another ranked team this coming weekend. So I think you can fix it, because as long as there's another game to play, you can fix anything. But when the season's over, you can't fix it. So, but Kentucky, we still got 7 more games to play to fix it, have a chance to fix it. Let me say that.
How do you think these kids, and again, I'm not pushing on kids, because if a 29-year-old, a 39-year-old, a 49-year-old was dealing with this,
Right.
These kids don't live in a cocoon. Coach can tell the kids, don't look at social media nonsense. They're going to look. They're I mean, come on. They're going to look at social media. How do you think they're handling all the negative stuff around Stoops? Because that cannot be easy. But that doesn't mean anybody should shut up, because I don't think that's my job. Does that make sense?
It makes very good sense. I think they handle it a lot better than we think they do, because they're professionals too. And like you said, is they signed up to play football in the SEC, and these guys are used to winning. A lot of their backgrounds, they won in their high schools, they won at their other university, or they competed with their other university. I just think that overall is it matters who says it. I think that makes a lot of sense in the world we live in now. I heard you talk a little bit to my boy Chris yesterday, and as my dog, Chris was talking about, in a sense, it depends on who's saying something negative at you, because a lot of people are going to say negative stuff at even me, Coach Bryant. That's a fact, but it matters who says it, and as long as those people are encouraging our University of Kentucky guys. And I feel like it can turn around.
So you're very hopeful.
What matter?
You're hopeful. You're
Yes.
you're a positive guy.
I am. I always believe that the cup is half full, not half empty. I believe that in my whole life.
Have you ever talked to the team? Ever been asked to talk to the team?
No, I never have. I've been very fortunate to talk to many, many teams, but at the University of Kentucky, no, I haven't.
You'd be like a lot of former players, a perfect person to talk to the team. I think you'd be really good at it. And I think actually you'd have instant respect because of your son. But then again, when they hear you about how tough you are and how you believe about doing things, I know Stoops brings in people to talk to the team. I know he does that, which is smart. I think all coaches do that kind of thing. But I don't understand why some guys like yourself who are here, and I'll give you an example. I have no idea if this is happening or not. Rich Brooks is in town. And, and if it's me, I would want Rich to talk to the team, which, by the way, Rich would be happy to do that. Nice shot of Karen and Rich with some friends that were at Keeneland yesterday. Really nice. But, my gosh, he handled the negativity. He was this close to probably getting fired. He turned it around and did a wonderful job here. Besides, he's so believable, and he's only addressed teams for about 50 years or whatever the heck it was. And he would be a perfect person just for 3-4 minutes to go in front of the team and that kind of stuff. Let's put it this way. There's so many positive influences out there that I believe are not being used. And the truth also is they have a lot of guys come speak to them that I don't know when it happens because they don't advertise and stuff like that. And by the way, I'd say the same thing if they were 7-1. If they're 7-1, I'd still love to have you speak to the team. I would still love Rich Brooks to speak to the team. And I wonder what's in Stoops' head with some of those things. And I wonder if he knows about guys like you. Well, he does because of Ty. But somebody's got to tell him Rich Brooks is in town. Rich, come talk to the team.
I'm pretty sure someone told him that. But I think a lot of times when coaches don't do that, like I was having a conversation with someone and I mentioned this is a former player that I had in high school, and he didn't know who this great NFL guy was. I mean, fantastic NFL guy. He had no idea. Speaking of Brooks, it was the linebacker. I think he passed away.
Kansas City linebacker. I'm going.
Yes,
picture
him. Derek Brooks. Brooks. Okay, never heard of him, and I was like, "You remind me of him," and he just gave me a blank look. I mean, because I think a lot of times this generation is all about who they think they've heard of or who they think they want to. Because, you can bring up, we've been very fortunate on this earth that when Rich Brooks, I get excited when you said his name because I was a fan when he was here. He did a great job for the University of Kentucky. And so with that said is, I think Coach brings in a lot of people that the kids know. Because I know that for a fact because of Ty. Ty was like, we had this person in and this person in. So I know they're getting speakers that does this. I do know that. I just think that right now at the University of Kentucky, the talking is just sometimes you got to slow the talking down because you can't over talk this generation because their attention span is not going to stay with you. You tell them, you make them understand the history. And I think that's what you're saying. Talk about the history because I can honestly say Bowling Green High, my high school in Bowling Green, Kentucky, they've done that with me. They've asked me to speak to the team before because of their losing or I show up to a game and parents have said something about me. and then the kids give me big attention span. They're right in front of me, and they play a little bit harder. I understand what you're saying, but when you do that, you got to make sure someone that they vaguely or their parents has heard of.
Okay, I'll respectfully disagree.
Okay,
Big
right.
time.
And
Actually.
nobody's right or wrong.
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you why, real quick. I'll tell you why, because it's in the setup. If students or the person involved say, "Hey, you guys might not have known this guy, but this guy did this, and this, and he's one tough blank, blank, blank." In other words, it doesn't take a 10-minute introduction. We almost never disagree. Could not humanly disagree with you more.
Okay.
It's okay. I still love you. I don't know if you love me because I can't.
No, I'm not saying don't get. I would love to speak with him.
Right.
I mean, I would love Chris to speak with him because he's done it. I heard you say to ask Chris that yesterday.
Chris Chenault would be like.
Yes.
Plus, you're a big guy, but he's a big guy, and you have fire in you. He's got a lot. You look at him. And you both guys exude intensity. And when you speak, and I struggled this when I was told this, in ninth grade. I had a ninth grade speech teacher who was like a professor. Some of the things I do when I speak today come from my ninth grade class. It's really interesting. I learned more in that ninth grade class about speaking than anything else, and I was a minor in speech in that kind of stuff than anything else I've ever done. This guy was absolutely brilliant. And the body language is more important than the words. The body language,
yes,
number one. And I fought this for years. And then the enthusiasm with the words, and it has to be real. And kids are smart; they'll see through that. And then your words. Well, Chris Chenault gets up there, and let me tell you what, it take about 3 seconds, 2 seconds, about a second for kids to go, whoa. And you know what? And they would instantly relate to that. So I will respectfully disagree. That's me.
Right. Well, it's not 100 disagreeing or 100 agreeing.
Yeah, we're disagreeing. Come on, Cisco. I love you. We're disagreeing.
No. But Chenault would do fantastic. There's no question about it. And because, and I would. I'm going to have to say I would too.
I know you would.
Chenault would do fantastic. He really would. Because he's that guy. He's that guy. He really is that guy. And plus they he got in the Hall of Fame last year or 2 years ago, I think last year. And so his name is already in the circle, and that makes a big deal too. So
these kids don't follow that. God bless you. You're the best. I appreciate it, and I'm really happy we finally disagreed on something.
Hey, I love it. And so, real quick before I get off, how are you doing? How's the eyes? Everything's good. You look good.
Well, if you think I look good, then don't get your eyes checked. I'm very lucky and blessed. If you would have told me when I was blind for over a month that it would be this good now, I would say, oh my gosh, I would take it. Nothing is ever the same after surgery, but I'm crazily lucky and blessed with how my eye is. So, Dr. Sketz, I love you. I love this dude. As I told him, you changed and saved my life. It's a pretty simple deal, that with prayer and people praying for me. So that's kind of it.
Well, in this order, and I'll let you go. Thank you again for having me on. If you go to Jimmy and put that hat on, that would help you as well. I'm just letting you know. That hat that Jimmy has on would help you fantastic.
You mean that ugly 49ers hat? I'm a New York. By the way, I love watching the 49ers because I like really good teams. I didn't like when they beat the Bengals a couple times in the Super Bowl, but I respect the 49ers tremendously. But I ain't wearing a 49ers cap. Not doing it.
I'm trying to help you. Trying to help you, Jimmy.
I need help. Get off my phone.
Right.
Hey,
all right, love you.
Love you too, brother.
All right. Jimmy, go Niners. Go
Niners.
It says go Niners, go Jets. Oh, he's the best. Coming up is the best. Dick Hoops Weiss, my dear friend in every Hall of Fame. Tell you what, these people are Hall of Famers to me. How they took care of me. Elliott Services. We needed work in our house a few years ago, so I called Chuck. That's right, Mr. Chuck. He's a lovely, lovely, lovely man. Chuck Ely. So we needed help again because Judy got that VC60. We keep on talking about how much she loves it, but we didn't have the wherewithal to do a hybrid plug-in. As a matter of fact, we had a problem before they showed up about how a plug inside our house turned black because we plugged it in. So we needed some work done. So I called Chuck. His guys from Elliott Service came, and they were spectacular. Clean, polite, Unbelievable. Relationships is a huge deal with them. Their work is first class. It's a company owned by the employees. Techs are licensed, background check tremendously. Generator sales, installation, service, electric vehicle charging solutions, renovations, fix-ups, existing products, installation of underground utilities, lighting upgrades, service panel upgrades, basically HVAC, anything you need. Elliott Services can use it. And I can't recommend them more because what they've done for me. 859-255-5788. 859-255-5788. Hoops, hoops, hoops. Coming up next, Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack. They're rounding the turn, and it's Clark's Pump and Shop for the win!
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up Sour Patch or Swedish Fish peg bags, 2 for $6, or Jack Link's Jerky, 3 1/4-ounce bags, 2 for $11. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1392.5. WLXG Lexington. And LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
So 4 lengths from the front, Cut to the Chase is the leader. Cut to the Chase with American Pearl down toward the inside. Into the final furlong, Taverna toward the outside is lingering now third as American Pearl moves up to her inside, but Cut to the Chase has a 5-length lead past the 16th pole. Cut to the Chase. Victor Espinoza to win it. American Pearl will be home second. Taverna was third. She's a Cherry finished fourth.
Now, my dear friend Dick Hoops Weiss knows everything, and how he didn't tell me before, I just found out and didn't know. That name of my book is Cut to the Chase, and there's a horse that just won at Keeneland, and Victor Espinoza doesn't get on bad horses. He just doesn't. It's Victor Espinoza. Cut to the Chase just won at Keeneland the other day. I had no idea, and I'm trying to find. I can't imagine they named it after my book. It's tough getting names, but I love it. We're going to play it all the time. Dick Hoops Weiss, you didn't know this, and you know everything.
You know what? I'm surprised you didn't bet on it.
Had I known, I'd have put $20 on it. And the only time I ever put $20 on a horse would be Derby Day if I do that, because I'm a $2 and sometimes across the board. Yeah. Dick Hoops Weiss in every Hall of Fame you could imagine. Sports writing forever, big time, had sources as good as anyone when it came to college football and college basketball. Still writing. How many Final Fours have you gone to in a row now?
53.
53. You got to get a little consistency in your life.
I every Final Four now is going to be different because every roster is going to be different. And none of the rosters are the same anymore.
Right. Knowing of people, whether it's in the media who are no longer there or players that you've gotten used to, The world has changed. We either accept it or not. I don't know if you read this, but I'm sure you know about this. Harold Leader did a hell of a job saying that their sources that UK could be spending $22 million. Ben Roberts did it, and he obviously spent a ton of time on it, and he's a really good reporter. Somebody came out, well, you should have named your sources. You can't name your sources in something like that. People are telling you stuff off the cuff, and if you're honest, people need to understand there are still honest reporters out there, and I think Ben is very honest. And I bet they vetted the story like crazy, and it looked like the kind of story he spent a long time on. But they spent, let's say it's $22 million. It doesn't matter if it's 21 or 23 or 20. It's still, a boatload of money. And this will be the only year that's going to happen because it's going to change next year. And I think there's going to be added pressure on Kentucky. Well, you spent all the money. If you don't win at all, you suck because you spent the most money. And that's the way life goes today. But
I've never been, I've never covered a program where the expectations are that high every year. It's not just getting in the Final Four anymore, but it's winning the ninth banner. And even Mark Pope put that out in his preseason stuff with the number 9 because they were ranked number 9 and they were going for what, number 9?
Yep.
So, I mean, he knows what the deal is. He knows there's a pass-fail component to this program. I think I think there is less patience in sport, particularly in the revenue producing sports like football and basketball, about success. Penn State just paid James Franklin. Well, the buyout at any rate was $49 million. And by the time the whole deal is consummated, it's probably going to cost the school $75 million to fire a coach, to hire a coach, to hire a staff, to pay off the current staff. It's crazy out there. I mean, I've never seen so many coaches fired at midseason before, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that donors who are donating the money want a return on their investment.
Donors have always had a say. It seems like they have more a say than ever before. And now when you want to get rid of somebody, you're asking the donors to, quote unquote, pony up even more.
Yeah. And, but you know what? I mean, now that Penn State has opened this genie's bottle, I think more schools are going to think about, let's just cut our losses and move on. And maybe the next guy will be better. The sad part about Penn State is I'm not sure who they can hire that will make things that much better. I mean, Franklin averaged about 10 wins a year. He didn't win the big games, but he got 10 wins a year. Is the next coach you bring in, if he's 10-2 and can't beat Ohio State, how long will that last? I mean, I do believe this. I believe Sandy Barber gave James Franklin a parting gift when she left the AD's job. I mean, she gave him a 10-year deal for $85 million. I think the coaches, I think we're going to see schools cut back on the amount of years that they give out, because if it doesn't work out or there has to be a professional divorce after 7 years, people don't want to be on the hook for it. Now, if he gets another job, they can write that off against the money that they owe him, and they'll probably get away with giving him less than $49 million. But if I have a smart lawyer, I'm thinking about going in and asking for the whole thing.
And then maybe settle somewhere in between.
Yes, totally.
Because the schools don't want the publicity either.
Yes. I mean, nobody wants to go to court over this. Look, this is a one-man decision. Pat Kraft made this decision. Nobody else made it. I think he caught the board of trustees flat-footed. I don't think they had any idea this is coming down. I hope this isn't a knee-jerk reaction. I know that there was a huge disconnect after the Northwestern loss. I mean, it was pretty palatable. He was not only getting booed, but they were throwing garbage at him as he walked to the locker room. So you know that they've had enough. Penn State expects to win these games. And I think it's like Kentucky. The expectations were so high in this programming. preseason, he said this is the most complete team. I think that they felt they had a legitimate shot to win a national championship because the Big Ten is now starting to exert a lot more control over the playoffs than ever before. And when he didn't meet expectations, took 15 days, Alan. They had the lead against Oregon. They win that game.
Everything's different.
Everything's different. But 15 days ago, they're a national contender. Now they're 3-3.
I look at it this way. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but there's a gentleman at Ohio State who's now 73-10, Ryan Day.
Hey, they were ready to dump him after the Michigan loss.
Yes. And now let's put it this way. He's got probably 3 or 4 years of grace, but if they would start winning 6 games, which isn't going to happen because this talent is ridiculous, it's not going to happen. It'd be happening again, but he's got a lot of grace now. My only thought about James Franklin, he's choked as a coach
in big games.
I don't think there's any question about it, but Ryan Day wasn't great in big games.
No, especially against Michigan.
Right. So therefore, sometimes with patience,
right,
coaches will get better. All I know is this. Within 24 hours of 24 hours of Franklin getting canned, he had 5 or 6 guys already for the 2027 class, and their rankings were unbelievable. They all said, forget about it. What I will be fascinating, whoever becomes the next Penn State coach, can they recruit as good as he can? And so you need to take a step back and take a look at this. Are you going to get better than Franklin? Are you going to get better?
That's what I say. I've been saying this since it happened. Like, as much as I'd like, I'm not sure if there's a coach out there. Hey, the wish list obviously was centered on Signetti, who I told you was never coming, and yesterday signed an 8-year deal for $11.6 million a year. I'm wondering if some of those Penn State recruits might consider Indiana now. He's done this, Alan. I think the most amazing thing about Indiana is it says they've done it without one 5-star player on the roster.
Tells me he can spot players and tells me he can coach players. And it's not like I watch Indiana every week, but I've watched some of their highlights now. They're on the highlight shows. That's part of it. And any play you see effort all the time. I'm not saying it's perfect, but let me throw this at you. I thought these contracts were going to be done. And then he gets $11.6 million, so I was wrong too. There was a guy, and I know you remember this name, Tom Allen. When he became the Indiana coach for a couple of years, they really liked him, almost loved him, okay? And then it fell apart, and he was 9-27 in his last 36 games. Totally fell apart. I'm not saying it's going to fall apart with
Oh, no, listen, I'm going to tell you, it's not like Indiana is producing multiple 5-star players.
Not in that state, no.
No, it's not even the same basketball state that people think it is. They used to think it is back when Hoosier Hysteria and the high school tournament was a huge deal. They are not producing that many good players. A lot of the better players they're producing right now, Alan, are going to these private prep schools.
Which means with the money, they're probably not going to Indiana unless the new Indiana coach.
Yeah, I think public schools are going to get less and less of the great players staying 4 years at the same place.
I agree.
I think that's sad. I mean, look, in Kentucky, they will always play for the front of the uniform. It's always be important if a team gets to the Sweet 16. You've been there, you understand it about as well as anybody. But you start losing players like Tay Kinney, who goes to overtime elite from Newport, Kentucky. It's bound to catch it. Jasper Johnson last year, left to go to a private prep school institution. Times are changing, and I'm not sure I like that part of it. When I was growing up in the Catholic League, you played CYO basketball, and the best players from those CYOs who were linked to the high school would go in. And if you won Catholic League championship, you were winning with all your friends basically in a neighborhood setting. That doesn't exist. Public schools now, a lot of Catholic schools are actively involved in recruiting now, getting players, because it's such an arms race, and the local kid is getting pushed out. I also think Kentucky has its share of really good high school coaches, and I think the small towns will still remain that way. But I think in the bigger cities, if you have a great player, or if you have a great player that shows up on a travel team, people will make a big pitch for him. That's why, what a kid like Moreno did is great.
By the way, you just described, from a modern point of view, when you're talking about the CYO and stuff like that, you described Reed Shepherd, who didn't go on the travel team, didn't go play somewhere else when he could have.
He was the exception to the rule. And I was so happy for him during his year at Kentucky. He's such a nice kid, easy to root for. I mean, you wanted a kid like that with great parents who stayed in the local school system, who went to Kentucky to succeed.
Well, he wanted to play with his high school buddies who was
I think it's great.
Oh, so he's old school. By the way, 29 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 made threes, 4 steals, and 3 blocks last night.
Wow.
The 3 blocks. First of all, I never knew he could block shots when he came.
No, come on. If you had seen him in Toronto, remember I told you he had blocked like 5 shots during the week, and he was blocking them out in the attacking zone. It wasn't like he was blocking them at the basket. He was blocking them coming up the floor. I mean, that's when I knew this kid was different. And look, I'm one of these people that's very old school. I love it when people like Richie Farmer and John Pelfrey and I mean, I love it when guys like that succeed at Kentucky, because I think it means a lot more for them to put on a Kentucky uniform. Look, I'm rooting for Moreno and Johnson and Noah to all get some playing time, and hopefully they'll all produce. I mean, I know Kentucky has 11 players they might be able to put on the floor in an SEC game, but
maybe more.
Maybe more.
I think they've got more, believe it or not.
But I'm hoping that these kids from Kentucky, and Noah apparently had a great 3-point shooting contest at their Midnight Madness.
His form is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm always happy for those type of kids, because I know how much it means for them to play for the Blue.
The Blue is strong. I kind of think this is the last year anybody can get $22 million, or whatever it is, Kentucky, that Ben Roberts story, because the money's going to change. It's going to change drastically. I mean, it has to.
Well, I hope there is a correction in the market. If you want the truth.
Well,
I mean, right. I mean, this year, I think when AJ DeBanster, the kid that went to BYU, got probably 7. And when we heard stories of Cooper Flagg playing for $28 million last year with the New Balance contract.
You think that's true?
I think the New Balance contract was worth a lot of money for him. Caitlin Clark signed a Nike contract before she entered the WNBA for 22. Now that's spread over years, but I do believe that he played for a lot of money last year.
Okay, this is what I think is happening, and I don't know at how many schools. Let me throw this at you. So next year, not this year, next year, you can't just give money to kids, as you know. Like if you want to do a car dealership, all of a sudden if the car dealership can afford $500,000, you can't give it to them, because I think a lot of people are picking up the fact that the CSS is going to judge these contracts, and it's pay for work. And if they deem a car commercial in Lexington ain't worth $500,000, you ain't going to get it. So the money's going to change drastically.
I kind of hope it does, because
it will. It has.
We are getting out of control with the money that we are paying, not just to coaches, but to children who have not even played a game yet.
Well, first of all, somebody wants to give it to you, more power to you, but I happen to agree with you. Let me throw this at you. Pope said something last year that I went, oh, he's telling us something without telling us something. I don't know. I don't know this factually. Okay. So when he said, and then Brandon Garrison said it, that it was a 2-year commitment. Now, from the basketball point of view, what I honestly believe Pope sold him on, if you can go to the NBA after 1 year, God bless, but I don't think you're going to. You're a big man, and you need 2 years to develop, and you got to work really hard because they don't take big men early, whatever, and I think he sold him on a 2 years. Well, here's the part they never explained. I really think he got it. I can't prove this. I'm just telling you this, but I read tea leaves. You know that. And I said this quite a long time ago. I think he got a 2-year deal. I got a purpose here. Give me a second, Hoops. I think he got a 2-year deal. Okay. I wonder, and if he did, Kentucky was super smart. One, before you answer this, you would know this better than me, how many other schools were doing that. And here's the other thing. I'm looking at a Marino. I'm looking at a Hawthorne. I'm looking at some of these kids, and I wonder if they got 2- and 3-year contracts because Kentucky knew that the money was going to change, and so they might have some of these kids lined up for longer than we realize unless they go to the NBA. And maybe they got more money up front this year because you can't give them the same money next year. So you're a booster, and let's say you can put together $1.2 million for Marino, which, by the way, is not unreasonable from what I've heard, neither here nor there. So let's say, okay, guess what? Malachi, you're not going to be ready for the NBA next year, but you could someday be a great NBA player. We'll give you a 3-year deal, okay, for $4 million. Hang with me a second, Hoops. $4 million, and this is how we're going to spread it out. And you could front load it and then put in a contract. We'll pay you this per, but the deal goes on this year's money. You can do that. And I think Kentucky has done some deals because I think they did with Garrison. And I'm curious how many teams were smart enough to do this. Because after this year, you ain't paying somebody $500,000 to do a car commercial. It's not happening. Now, do I think there'll be some people that cheat? Absolutely. We both know that. But if I'm right with these contracts, do you think a lot of colleges had the foresight to do these kinds of things?
No. I wish they did. I mean, I think it's revolutionary thinking. I think that, but I also think this: kids are smart enough to know if they can be one and dones. I mean, Brandon Garrison would not have been drafted to be left after 1 year. It wasn't going to happen.
He might have had trouble starting in a G League this year. Go ahead, Hoops.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And so I think kids decide, is it better for me to stay and make guaranteed money and be able to promote myself to the NBA, or should I just try to leave after 1 year because most people draft on potential? I do believe this. I think we're going to see more NBA teams take a harder look at upperclassmen than ever before.
Yep.
I know they want to get freshmen into their program, and freshmen want to get to that second contract. And if you go in at 19, there's a good chance you can make big money by the time you're 22 or 23. But I think that kids need to get advice from every agent's going to tell them to go. They need to get advice from competent people. And they actually need to listen to their coaches if they feel their coaches have their best interests at heart. Mark Pope could come up with a number of other players if he wanted, if a kid left. It's not like he's going to lose the luxury of recruiting in the portal. But I think sometimes kids make mistakes. I think sometimes they leave too early and they're not ready either mentally or emotionally. And they have a short-term life in the NBA or the G League.
I wonder what the numbers are, and I wonder if anybody in the NBA has done this. I'm waiting for a reporter to do a lot of research on this, to take a look at the last 10 years in contracts of first-round draft choices that were under the age of 21 and to see what their value has been. I'd go 15.
That's really interesting.
And to see
I like that a lot.
And to see what the value is after the first contract. And a bunch of guys got maxes. We all know that. But I think there's more players, who would be my guess, many more players who were barely hanging on. I mean, the Harper kid that you talked to me about, Rutgers, the star, he just signed a two-way deal with Boston, and this is one point was going to be a top 5 guy, and he's got a two-way contract. There are more Harpers out there, and his dad was a stud with the Bulls. What a great defensive player, and I think he's got a shot at making the NBA, but he's got to change his body more and whatever. It's going to be, I think, a longer haul. The point is, I wonder what the percentages of guys who got the first-round money and ended up flopping and struggling to continue their career. If it's me, I would have some computer geek working on that right away to look at the probability and say, maybe an older guy is a better way to go.
I had a conversation with Rick Pitino once, and we were talking about the value of the NBA. He said 60% of the kids who leave the NBA will be bankrupt within 3 years. That's a lot. That's a lot of people aren't smart enough. They have a posse. They have their mother suddenly living with them. They need to buy a house for the mother. They need to buy a car for the mother. After a while, the money runs out. Everybody thinks life goes on forever. That's why I'm a big believer in, I wish kids would leave when they're ready, when they know they're ready for the league. Because it's one thing to be a top 20 player playing against kids your own age. I had an interesting conversation last night with Brandon Knight, who was the associate head coach at Rutgers. And he was saying, when we look at players, it's not so much the ranking. We look at how we think they will do against 20-year-old kids in the portal, 22-year-old kids in the portal. And that's the way they recruit. They're recruiting much more big bodies these days. And they're recruiting players who have a specific skill. They don't necessarily have to be in the top 50 because Rutgers, last year they got 2 lottery picks in Bailey and Harper, but that's not happening on a regular basis. So they have to be resourceful when they recruit. They have 2 kids from Europe who are 22 on their team this year, and people are starting to use the portal as a gauge of how they will be able to compete against 22 and 23-year-old men.
That's smart. It sounds like they're adjusting.
Yes.
And Brendan and I had a pretty good brother.
I
player.
hadn't thought about it, Al.
Yeah, no, that's really smart, actually.
Yeah.
Really smart. I would love to see how these contracts play out. Just love to see. By the way, backing up what Pitino told you about the contracts, Jamani Dawson, now in the NFL Hall of Fame, who I covered in high school here at Bryan Station and was a stud at Kentucky. And he was still with the Steelers. And we were sitting and talking by his house, which at the time overlooked a lovely golf course here. And he said, Cutler, and this shocked me at the time. It's a long time ago. And I didn't realize this was going on. Cutler, you would not believe how many guys in the Steeler locker room, veterans, who are, and my jaw dropped with what I'm going to tell you. Now I believe it. Not that I didn't believe it then, but I didn't realize it was like this. How many guys live paycheck to paycheck in the NFL? And I'm going, what the?
I know.
Blank?
It's a lot more than you think. Look, I know in the NBA, if you come in with a rookie and you go out with veterans, they expect the rookie to pick up a check. And the rookies are trying to fit in. They don't have the money that these experienced veterans have. And the money runs out quicker than you think.
I would just say no. If they want to not pass me the ball, I would, because I know how I am. And I would have done that then. It's easy to say now, but I haven't changed when it comes to that.
Well, what's probably better is not to go out with veterans.
That's the other part. True story. When Andy Dalton was the quarterback for the Bengals, and he didn't get the big bucks, and he was, when he first started, was he a rookie when he started? Am I going blank? I think he was. Anyway, at the end of the year, all quarterbacks buy expensive gifts for the offensive line. And he refused to.
Wow.
Refused to. Because he said, I don't have the money to do it. These guys make more money for me. I'm just not going to do it. And I know this. Remember, I did the Bengals radio network for 14 years. I know this. And matter of fact, when I found out, I was told, shut up. And so I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say I'd shut up forever. Okay. And I eventually used it because I didn't promise that I would shut up, and I knew I couldn't put it on. I knew I couldn't put it on the Bengals radio network.
Right.
That was for Dave Lapham to do. I knew my place. And by the way, Lapham ended up, if I recall right, saying something about it. Somebody tells you not to say something, but it's their story. They have a right to say it. There was no sour grapes when it comes to that. And he was advised to fork up, to pony up, and to pay more. So he ended up doing something, but it was nothing compared to what a Peyton Manning would do.
Right.
Peyton Manning's got all the money in the world. And I applauded Dalton. And if that means you're not going to block for him because of that, I get in your face. This is football. You need to protect me. And if this is all about money, he wasn't even making $1 million at that time. It's a long time. I forgot what it was, but it was much less than people perceive of him. He was making tons more as a backup for years than he did when in his first contract. It's just the way it is. And I applauded him. I said, good for you. This, it's one thing if you're getting a bag of donuts or something like that, but these guys, as you know, expect you to pick up big checks. You're going out for dinner. It's $2,000, kid, pick it up. No.
So I have to ask you this question. I have two questions.
Yes.
One is, how many openings do you think there's going to be in the SEC in football next year?
Ooh.
And two is, the New York Times just did 2 pages on Bill Belichick at Carolina. This thing is not going to go away. What do you think the end result will be?
Not pretty. Not pretty. I don't see how he coaches next year.
Either do
I mean, because.
But I mean, I'm really interested in your take on the SEC because, I mean, people are throwing out, names of jobs that might be open. Now we know Arkansas is out there, but I mean, they're throwing out names like Auburn and Kentucky, and I mean, we're hearing all kinds of names out there.
I just pulled up the schools to make sure I didn't forget somebody. The coaches. And so John Cohen, who was the baseball coach here and the athletics director at Auburn, I don't remember the exact quote. I used it the other day, but it was a non-support for Freeze. Right. At this moment, I haven't thought about firing his Fanny. That's basically what he said. I think he'd like to fire Freeze, and I think the boosters would. And the truth is, they got screwed in 2 games. But you know what? After they got screwed, it's like he went into a cocoon, and for an offensive guy, his offense sucks. Okay, possibly. Auburn, Arkansas, you're going to think I'm funny about this. Possibly. South Carolina, Florida, Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying that
I think there's
there are people out there mentioning coaches on the hot seat.
5.
That's a lot of changeover for what has been traditionally the best league in the country.
Okay, can I give a caveat here too?
Sure.
Okay, so do you count if a coach leaves a successful SEC program and goes to another SEC program, creating another opening? Is that part of this game or no?
I don't know that people hire within the league, but I know that Florida wanted
Kiffin,
one of the Ole Miss coach, Lane Kiffin last year, and the donors actually held a meeting where they were all set to do it, and I guess that Scott Strickland opted to hold on to his coach for another year.
Which is interesting that Scott had the power to do it, former sports information director at the University of Kentucky. Right. So I was thinking of Ole Miss that way too, that if Ole Miss goes to Florida, that's another open. But firing, could I see? Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot.
It is a lot. And by the way,
I'm just saying that this is my theory on patience. People, if you have a losing record, people are going to run out of patience.
You know what patience is today?
3 games.
4-letter word. Yeah, okay. Let's put it this way. Here's the thing about Virginia Tech, which I find interesting. I believe the rumors that Beamer initially didn't want to follow his father. Right. I get all that. I'm not saying they will, but if South Carolina totally falls apart, which, by the way, is very possible.
And he may not have a choice, and I think they would hire him.
I think he'd go in 2 seconds. I wonder if they.
But I don't think. I think if he had his brothers, he would definitely say it's South Carolina. The money and the resources are just too good. Virginia Tech does not have the money right now to compete in the ACC. they say there's going to be an infusion of cash, 220. What they don't tell you is the school has to raise it.
Ooh, potential 5 coaches. Now, will all 5 be replaced?
No, I can't say that that's going to happen, but I'm just saying that this is where we're at in college sports. Every week, guys now post coaches who might get fired. I mean, it's crazy because we're seeing more coaches than I ever remember getting fired at midseason.
If Oklahoma falls apart, could Venables be in trouble? Yes.
Yeah, because you can start 6-0, but have you seen the back end of his schedule? It ain't easy, and I don't think his quarterback is 100% here.
He wasn't last week, and he even said he couldn't make decisions and stuff like that. And they kind of forced him into playing, and he wanted to play and all that kind of stuff. But if they lose the next 4 games, can he be fired? Absolutely.
Yeah, because look, the things turn quickly. If you don't win games now, everyone is under pressure to win the next game.
If Mike Krzyzewski started today at Duke,
he would have been fired.
When
social media,
he would have been
gone after 3 years because, frankly, the booster club at Duke wanted him out.
Yeah,
and it was only because the athletic director had enough confidence with him. He actually gave him an extended deal when Mike thought after that huge loss to Virginia, he might get fired in the tournament.
There would be no Mike Krzyzewski. He probably would have gone to a school like Ryder to coach or something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, there was the best thing that happened to him is there was no social media.
Yeah.
So he could build the thing back at his own speed, and the fact he had an athletic director who believed in him for over the long haul. But the Iron Dukes were all ready to pull the plug on Krzyzewski after 3 years.
By the way, your dear friend John Calipari, who, by the way, I think he's loaded at Arkansas. I think he's really loaded.
Yeah, he's pretty deep.
He said one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard him say. That'd be a nice top 10 list. The most ridiculous things that John Calipari says. So people have no idea, and I'm not talking down to anybody, but knowing inside stuff, and you could probably add schools. When he was at Memphis and at Kentucky, he turned down overtures at Memphis to Indiana, NC State, this UCLA thing, which I think was a joke here. He has turned down and had his foot out the door many times.
Right.
Going back to his Memphis days. And his ear was out here at Kentucky with the NBA more than people realized. A couple things got.
I think if he could have gotten the Chicago job, he would have gone.
I always thought he'd been nuts to take it, but, he doesn't ask my opinion, and that's fine. But the point is, he had his foot out the door. And for him to say, you want a kid, you want to put your name in the portal, go ahead, but you're gone.
Yeah, I'm not taking you back.
What a BS, phony, hypocritical, two-faced Homo sapien he is for saying that. Give me another adjective. I'm sorry. And by the way, Cal belongs in the Hall of Fame. I have no.
Well, he's in there. So.
But somebody could be in the, and they don't really belong. In other words, I'm not down on him, but what a phony. What? Okay, do as I say, not as I do. He loves to be on the phone. Patino had his foot out the door many times.
There are a lot of coaches in the 90s who love being romanced.
Yes.
At the end of every season, because it increased their power in their own job.
Well, that and the ego. And other people.
Yeah, it's a huge ego trip. There wasn't a year that Rick Pitino was here. If he started turning around, he didn't have big offers.
And sometimes he might have called somebody to say, hey, what do you think about this? And other times people would just call him directly. It was a common.
He was more in demand than any college coach in America.
In history during that time period.
He was that good and that successful.
So this is just, when he said that, I literally felt like throwing up.
Yeah, look, times are, like I said, there's a lot of time. Although I do think John has one very good idea about the transfer portal. One transfer, and then you have to sit. It's the only way we're going to get this thing under control, because the idea of 4 years, 4 schools is insane.
And I agree with him. You're never going to get a degree, and nobody cares about unions today.
I mean, I'm always amazed that kids are academically eligible to play a sport at a new school, because who knows how many credits they're getting accepted. It's supposed to be progress toward a degree.
I'm surprised more kids aren't being ruled ineligible.
Yes, totally.
And
I totally buy that.
It leads me to believe there's some academic BS going on. You can't have this many kids transferred. And when's the last time you heard of somebody who transferred 3 schools in 3 years or that kind of thing, and they weren't eligible? When do you hear that? When do you hear that? It's not. And by the way, I'm not calling these kids stupid, and I'm not saying kids aren't going to class. Because you transfer, you don't often get all your credits. And when you transfer, many kids are at that borderline, just surviving anyway. And now none of these kids, does that mean basketball players and football players are the smartest Homo sapiens on the face of the earth? What a bunch of BS. What a bunch of BS. The academic phoniness of this. And if I'm wrong, come at me. When's the last time you heard a kid? When is the last time you heard a kid who transferred 3 times in 3 years and they say, well, little Johnny, he can't even work out with the team because we got to get him. You only hear about the foreign kids. And some of the crap with foreign kids is a bunch of BS. And the fact that a foreign kid can't make money like anybody else, and they didn't change the rule, which really sucks. That Oscar Sheedway, to make money, when they went to Bahamas, he could do commercials.
He had to go to Bahamas to do.
Yeah, let's go to Bahamas because we got to take care of Oscar. Well, of course you take care of Oscar. Go to the Bahamas. That's you're here in America. Make money. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. I'm a dummy. I thought when I saw this, they're going to change this right away because this is unfair. You get a kid coming from Czechoslovakia. I don't care where you're coming from, Croatia, and somebody wants you to do a commercial in Lexington, Kentucky. God bless. More power to you. More power to you. No, let's get a charter to go to Canada and let's hire a crew there if you want to make some money. It's disgusting.
Well, I take a look at the kid E. I mean, he was National Player of the Year, and his junior year he couldn't make any money. I mean, it's crazy. They worked it out eventually where he was getting paid in Canada because he's a Canadian.
Yeah, but he still didn't get what he should have gotten.
No, he never.
That's wrong.
Never.
That's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if there are no guardrails in the NCAA anyway now, so why shouldn't they allow a kid to make money? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's selfish. It's degrading. It's demeaning. And you know what? I blame the ADs. ADs in the meeting could have said, "Hey, look, we got to correct this. This should be a thing with a 5-minute discussion. Don't give me this crap about committee meetings and hearings, and we'll look at it down the road. Common sense is king." And I lose respect for these administrators. All right, Hoops. Last thing, what's on your mind we haven't talked about that doesn't have to be Kentucky, in America, in sports, that you're passionate about? You're saying this really stinks because, or did we empty the tank?
Pretty much the tank. I think I get worried about the future of the sport because I think that within 10 years, the 4 Power 4 schools will withdraw from the NCAA in football. And I think the NCAA will be left to conduct championships with everything but college football. I think that will be run independently. And I do believe that they will open it up to be able to pay as much money as they want if you want to pay in the top tier. And that scares me.
I agree with all that except for one little caveat.
Go ahead.
Don't know how the TV contracts that are so long would stop them from.
Well, I mean, look, aren't television contracts mostly open by 32? I mean, that's what I said. I said within 10 years.
Okay, I thought it was longer than
Yeah, I could see. I mean, as soon as they're over, I could see, especially look. I guess they voted down the private equity deal in the Big Ten today.
A couple schools were against it.
Well, Michigan was definitely against it. And maybe they thought it was a bridge too far. Maybe they and Ohio State wanted to forge their own deals because they felt that they had a bigger brand name.
I bet they could.
I don't know.
No. That's a great point. Ohio State, we don't need Northwestern. Screw Northwestern.
Right.
We'll get more money. No, you're bullseye. It's Ohio State. We're not sharing with those people at Northwestern who beat Penn State once every 100 years. No.
Actually, they have beaten James Franklin more than he's beaten them.
Is that right?
James Franklin is 3-4 against Northwestern.
I had no idea. That is crazy. That is crazy. And by the way, you brought up a name the other day that I don't hear his name, and you were so right. Pat Fitzgerald was one of the great coaches who got screwed. He won his law case, and his name should be out there for everyone.
Yeah, I think he's a terrific coach.
And a really good guy.
And he did it at small school. There was a time when I thought he was going to be the next Notre Dame coach.
That would have been a good choice. And
it would have been just like Harrah making the shift from Northwestern.
By the way, you're close to being right. So you're right. You ready for this? The ESPN ABC agreement with football and basketball goes through the 33-34 season.
Okay.
And it was a 10-year deal. You're correct. And it runs through the 33-34 season. And it's for men's football, basketball, and women's basketball.
I mean, listen, it only takes two legs to do this. The Big Ten and the SEC.
I'd be willing to bet before that you hear rumors of this coming out that they're going to do this a couple years in advance. Nobody's going to remember I said this at 2030. Hopefully both of us are alive. Jimmy will be. That they'll start talking about it, and the TV people will try to either wedge their way in or say, let's just continue doing what they're doing. But without TV money, none of this happens.
Right. I also think this. I also think that we've gotten too carried away. And it hasn't really happened in the SEC and the Big Ten. Well, it's happened in the Big Ten now. I still believe in geographical rivalries. I think when you start trying to include the amount of television sets across the country and you make student athletes travel 3,000 miles to play a road game in the ACC, it's off kilter.
Except for one thing, they're getting paid now. And Chris Button did a great commentary that these coaches should shut up because they're now professional athletes, and professional athletes do it all the time. I think you're right. Oh, we got to go. I think you're right, except I've changed my attitude because of that, because they're getting paid a ton of money.
All right, pal.
Hey, God bless you. You're the best.
It's always good. Always good talking to you.
You are the best. Dick Hoops Wise, follow him on Twitter. He is the best, only in the last 50 years.
See you, pal.
Hey, bless you. We
always
are
good to talk.
Late. Thank you, Hoops. Is he the best, Jimmy? Seriously, the best.
He is.
His knowledge is off the charts. And I tell you, Elliott Services' knowledge is off the charts as well. Unbelievable. Write this number down. They've been great to me. That's why I can talk about them. 859-255-5788. And they were great to me twice before I started talking about them. One was a few years ago because of my boy, Chuck. If he's listening, he's laughing at me. And he should be laughing at me. Chuck Ely. We needed work done in the house. And guess what? He came in years ago, got it taken care of. We needed work done for our brand new hybrid VC60. And he came in, his guys did it. It was great. And we had a problem. We had an electrical problem that was bad, by the way, and worried about a fire. It's a long story, whatever, and they took care of it. So they're big on relationships. The company is owned by the employees. The techs are licensed, background checked ridiculously so. Generator sales, installation, service, electrical vehicle charging solutions, renovations, fix-ups for existing properties, installation of underground utilities, lighting upgrades, service and panel upgrades, voice, data, Wi-Fi solution, HVAC systems. They're big in HVAC systems, and what's going on now? It's a huge, huge, huge deal. So check out Elliott Services. Jimmy, that was really poignant about his takes on this, about what is happening in college sports. I want to do this. Do we have time to play Matt Rule?
Yeah.
Okay. Matt Rule talking about why he loves Penn State. He loves Nebraska. If you buy it, Nebraska is a destination site. Here it is.
it's with my team. It's just unbridled honesty. Tell them the truth. Tell them exactly the truth, and don't BS them because they'll know. And secondly, like just out there, like this is it. This is part of it. Like it's better than when I was in Carolina and they were chanting to fire me. Right? So it's better than being on every hot seat list. So having other schools maybe be interested in you is pretty cool. But I don't do that during the season. I don't mess around with that. I don't play that. And at the same time, this is not a jumping off job. This is a destination job. This is one of the greatest places in the world. This is a town of 300,000 people. This isn't everyone says like Lincoln. It's 300,000 people here in Lincoln. Like I can do whatever I want here. I have a great young team, the youngest team in the Big Ten. Think about how good we'll be next year. Now, I'm not thinking about next year, but where we are right now, like we're learning. Think about where we're going to go with Dylan and all these guys. So I refuse to be distracted. At the same time, it's when it's your alma mater, you have to show it love and respect. And I hope, and I love Pat Kraft. They'll find the right coach for them, whoever that is. But like this is a destination job that should be a national bully, that should be a beast. And I think we're making our way to doing that.
Because he and the AD at Penn State are such good friends, do I think there was a private call? I would bet our paycheck on that. Seriously. And let's see if he stays in Nebraska. I bet he does. I will bet he does. Nebraska, third year, 3 different programs he's gone to, they've turned it around. It's pretty interesting. He's a program builder. Did you see that Michael Lombardi, the North Carolina GM, Belichick's friend, took a fundraising trip to Saudi Arabia before the season?
I did not.
That was unbelievable. Can you imagine Mitch Barnhart doing that? You got to think outside the box. We saw Adam Sandler last night, and he wore number 25. And I know we got to go, but if you look at the history of basketball at Kentucky from the Anthony Epps on down, it's unbelievable how many wonderful players wore number 25. He rocked that. Not a little bit, big time. And don't forget about my friend Terry Page. Terry Page. I was in bad shape yesterday. And seriously, she helped me out tremendously. And she said I was a mess, and I feel totally different today. Great healer, licensed massage therapist, 859-373-0578. Check him out. And real quick, Ramon Carriega at Blue Lotus Health, now also providing a licensed massage therapist. Ramon is a special dude. I now relax tremendously with acupuncture, and he's also helped me tremendously. Use my name on Versailles Road, Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. Ryan Howard, she was wonderful. Cisco Bryant, wonderful. Dick Hoops-Weiss, wonderful. Jimmy, thank you so much. Brad Taylor coming up next. Matthew and Jimmy at 10. I'll be back at noon on Monday. Wouldn't it be great if Kentucky could upset